The 95th installment of the UFC Apex Fight Night events goes down this Saturday, and it is headlined by two top 10 heavyweights and a rematch between two top 10 heavyweights. We have the number 8 ranked Marcin Tybura taking on the number 9 ranked Polar Bear Serghei Spivac. Will Marcin Tybura make it 2-0 against Spivac, or will Spivac avenge that loss from many moons ago and edge his way closer to the top 5 of the heavyweight ranks? February 29th, 2020. That is the first time that we saw Marcin Tybura and Serghei Spivac meet inside the UFC octagon on that night in a card that was headlined by Joseph Benavidez and Davison Figueiredo. Marcin Tybura came out victorious with a unanimous decision win over the Polar Bear Serghei Spivac, and since that victory, he has fought 9 other times in a master record of 7-2, the only losses to Alexander Volkov, number 3 in the world, and Tom Aspinall, the current interim champion. His biggest win during that stretch was in March of 2024. It was a submission victory in the first round over Tai Tuivasa. So Tybura coming in having won 3 of his last 4 fights in total, really still riding momentum at the age of 38. Can he make it 2-0 against the dangerous Serghei Spivac, or will the 9 years younger Polar Bear at 29 make up for that loss 4 years ago and edge his way closer to not only the top 5, but to a potential title discussion by the end of 2024? It starts with this right here. And I talked about the success that Tybura has had since beating Spivac in 2020, going 7-2 overall. But for Spivac, he's righted the ship as well, going 6-2 during that span. And his 2 losses are to, well, one similar in Tom Aspinall, the current interim champion, and the other to the number 2 ranked heavyweight in the world, Ciryl Gane. Now, that is the last time that we saw Spivac in the cage. That was September 2nd of 2023 in Paris. So almost 1 full year on the sidelines for the Polar Bear. Will that time off pay dividends or prove to be a detriment to his comeback and getting a victory over Tybura? And like I mentioned for Tybura, he had a big victory over Tai Tuivasa in his last outing. And during this winning kind of a period, I should say, for Spivac, not that he won his last fight, but prior to that, had tallied off 3 in a row, back-to-back finishes of Augusto Sakai and a submission last February of Derek Lewis, the biggest win by far of Spivac's career. Yes, he fell short against Gane, but it's not too late for him to bounce back, being that he is still only 29 years old and just now about to enter those prime years that we see fighters to go through. In 20 fights for Spivac, we've seen him see the scorecards 3 times total, and one of those was against Tybura. Of his 4 losses, he's been knocked out in 3 of them, and of his 16 victories, 14 are by finish, with 7 split both ways between knockouts and submissions. He is a well-rounded fighter, but we know that at the end of the day, his game plan is to get his opponents down to the ground and drown them. But Tybura can do pretty much that same exact thing. Now, he may not finish at as high of a clip. Out of his 25 victories, he's finished 16 of them, and he's went 9-3 when fights go all 15 and or 25 minutes, Tybura that is. But when he gets people down to the ground, he makes them quit as well. We've seen him do it in his fights before. And if they cancel each other out in the grappling, what will happen on the feet? I think that's the biggest question here. We've never really seen Tybura be too much of a dangerous threat there in terms of one-punch power. Spivac, on the other hand, we have seen put people away, but we know that inevitably both of these men are going to want to get the other onto the ground with their back on the canvas. So I thought it'd be worth pulling out the stats real quick from their first bout just to go over them with you. We saw Tybura outland Spivac 116-40 in terms of total strikes, with 2 takedowns in 8 minutes of 22 seconds of control time. He pretty much dominated this fight en route to a 30-27 on 2 scorecards and a 29-28 on the other. So will it be much of the same? Will it just prove that if Tybura gets Spivac down, Serghei will not be able to get back up? Or can Serghei, one, fend off the takedowns, and two, if he does go down, can he get back up? Has he righted those wrongs from 4 years ago? Only time will tell, but the winner here will enter into a top 5 elite level discussion in this heavyweight division. Say what you will about this division and how you feel about it outside of basically the top 3 guys. I won't hate on any of those opinions, but this is a big fight. It is number 8 versus number 9 at the end of the day. I hope for something exciting. I hope to see a big finish, because if not, this could be a long 25 minutes from a fan's perspective. So give me your predictions for this top 10 battle in the heavyweight division in the comments below. Will it be Tybura going 2-0 against the Polar Bear and putting himself closer to the top 5 category in this division? Or Spivac finish the job this time, right the wrongs, avenge his loss of 4 years ago, and get maybe not the biggest win of his career, but the second biggest win of his career, closely behind that finish over Derek Lewis that we previously mentioned. And this card is not deep by any means. There's only 10 total fights, so I'm just going to talk about, as I've been doing the past few weeks, the fights that I feel are going to be fun, because there's none on here that I want to break down in depth like the main event, especially when it comes to storylines and what is at stake. So let's talk about some potential fights that you should definitely keep your eye on that could maybe even snag the fight of the night bonus. First and foremost is actually the co-main event between Damon Jackson and Chepe Mariscal and the 145-pound division. Chepe is 3-0 since entering the UFC last June. And yes, Damon Jackson has lost 2 of his last 3 fights, but those losses, Billy Quarantillo and Dan Ige. Outside of that, it's a victory. 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 He's won 5 of his last 7 fights total. When you look at those losses, even if you want to dip back outside of the 5 out of 7 and go to his most recent loss, it's Ilia Topuria, the current featherweight champion of the world. So in total, he's 6-3 in the UFC. The guy has fun fights, finished 19 of his 23 victories, been finished 5 of his 6 losses. This fight is sure to be violent. The undefeated 8-0 Danny Barlow comes in with 6 finishes to his name, 29 years old. He had a big debut back in February where he finished Josh Quinlan via TKO in the 3rd round. He's back to see if he can continue being a perfect mixed martial artist in terms of record, and he's taken on the debutant Nikolay. I'm going to butcher this last name, so pardon me if I'm not looking at the screen. Veretennikov. I'm not saying it twice. Big fight. It's going to be violent. Someone's getting put to sleep. Formerly ranked top 15 bantamweight Chris Gutierrez is back to right the wrongs from his loss in December to Song Yadong. He's taking on a short notice replacement, undefeated from LFA at 8-0, Quang. This is going to be very fun. Gutierrez is always in low-key bangers that don't really get the respect they deserve. And for Quang, he's finished 5 of those 8 victories. He just fought in April and got a first-round knockout. He's going to come in and try to make a statement. And if he comes in and debuts on short notice and beats Chris Gutierrez, he's right on the outside of the top 15 after just 1 UFC fight. And for what it's worth, we have 2 matchups in the bantamweight division that have all top 15 ranked opponents. Now, it may not be the most exciting division right now, but we're hoping to get a title fight soon. We have Kayla Harrison fighting Ketlin Vieira in October, and here we have 4 other ladies in the rankings going to action. That's what we need for this division, is movement. It's Yana Santos versus Chelsea Chandler, and it's Karol Rosa versus Pannie Kianzad. So give me all of your thoughts, give me your predictions, and give me your bets for UFC Vegas 95 in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. We've been having a big last couple of months, especially here to kick off August. I really do appreciate any and all support that you all have been showing on the channel as we continue to grow this community. You can also join the community on social media as well, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can follow along on your favorite podcasting platforms such as Spotify and Apple. If you like long-form audio episodes, they release every Friday and Monday. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and I will see you in the next video.